Hi YouTube, I'm here with yet another product unboxing and review video. This time it's the Samsung Note 20 Ultra 5G phone. This phone I picked up recently, only about a week ago, and I'm really excited to share this phone with you. But before I do that, I want to thank my subscribers who have taken me over the 300 mark now. But if you do enjoy my video content, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it helps me grow the channel and encourages me to put out more content. With that said, let's dive right into the video. So this phone, like I said, I picked up only about a week ago as part of the Black Friday sale that happens around Thanksgiving in the US. And I wanted to take advantage of the great deals at that time. This is a phone that I actually picked out for my wife. She is a Samsung user for a very long time and is very excited about this phone. But before I would hand this over to her, I requested it to be shared with you guys first, so I can do the unboxing and we can look at the contents, and then she can of course enjoy it later on. So with that said, this phone I picked up from the Google store directly. So this phone, was something that was on sale, and even though this 128 GB version sells for around $1,300 retail, but during the sales they were offering this for around the $1,200 or $1,100 mark, depending on where you buy it. But Google had the best deal out there. So if you opt for the Google Fi service, they actually made it available for the sale price at the time was $600 in total, with all the deals thrown in. And even now, if you go in, and if you're in the US, of course, and you go in with the deals that are available at the moment, you can still pick it up for $799 or around $800, which is a fantastic price to pay for a phone of this class. So with that said, let's look at the contents itself. In here, there is some of the literature that comes with it. So let me move this box over and take a peek of what's in here. So I can already see there's some documentation that comes with it, and there is a little pin that Samsung gives you, and I believe this is basically to pop out the SIM tray or the expandable storage tray that comes with this phone. So that's a nice little pin there. And then of course you have the documentation. This is some of the Samsung Care stuff. And then you have the terms and conditions. I won't bore you with those details. And then of course here is the quick reference guide, and it shows you a little bit about the contact information and whatnot, Samsung Care, and some of the phone's features. So obviously it has the SIM card tray, camera, volume, side key, audio, USB port, the S Pen support, and the slot for it, and the cameras. Excuse me, I'm running a bit of a cold, but I still wanted to go ahead and make this video for you guys. So this is some of the other information that comes with the video, with the documentation here. So with this put aside, let us now take a look at the phone itself. So if I take out the phone, I see that this is a phone that this is a phone color that I should say that my wife really likes. I believe this is the Mystic Gold. I believe this is what they called it. It's almost like a rose gold type tinge to it. A really pretty color, a very feminine color, if I may add. And then of course it comes in this little screen protector. Let me take this off, and you can see the absolutely gorgeous phone in my hands. So before we go deeper into it, let me just say, in all the research that I have done, the Samsung Note 20 Ultra is probably the last Note series phone that Samsung is going to put out. So if you are interested in a true Note series phone, this is probably your last chance to get one, because after this, Samsung is dropping the Note series altogether, and they have blended or merged what they come out in the Note series and the regular Galaxy series phones into one brand. And Samsung is actually focusing more on the screen extendability. So the Flex phones that Samsung has recently come out with, that's where they're putting all their engineering dollars into, is my understanding. So anyhow, this is probably the last Note series phone. Another reason to look into it. Like I said earlier, this is a flagship phone for Samsung, S21, which came out sometime early in 2021. I can't remember when exactly. Only I think 4 to 6 months after this phone was launched in August of 2020. That is the latest generation phone. That phone also does support the S Pen, but that S Pen is not something that's baked into the product like over here. That's actually something you have to pick up separately. It just supports the S Pen functionality, and even that is kind of half baked. So I'll talk about that further in the video here. So this is something I would like to talk about. And then as far as the Google Fi service is concerned, this was another big reason why we opted for this phone. This phone actually has native support for Google Fi, which is a Google telecom service we have available here in the States. I'm not sure if the Google Fi service is available elsewhere in the world, but it basically is the direct telecom plans that you can buy from Google. And it allows you to seamlessly connect from one network. So for example, T-Mobile's network into US Cellular or Sprint's network. So that's the tower jumping that it does seamlessly for you. This was a big reason why we opted for this phone instead of being tied to either Verizon's network or let's say AT&T's network. With those other network providers, they do offer, some of them do offer this phone, but obviously not at this price point. So it's a really sweet deal. Anyway, so I wanted to make a mention of this. If you're looking to Google Fi, this would be a great phone to look into, especially with the deals that Google is offering on this. Okay, with all that said, let's dig right into the specs of this phone. Okay, so before we talk about the specs, maybe we look at the rest of the contents on this box. Obviously, you can see the Google Fi little note here. So this is a Google Fi phone. In a normal phone, which is not Google Fi supported, I don't think you're going to get this little card. And then in here, I can see there is another little card, and there is the power brick that comes with it. This is really nice of Samsung to still offer the super fast charging power brick along with this phone. I believe Samsung has stopped shipping power bricks in future phones, but this phone still carries one, which is great. And then you can see this is a USB-C type interface. I believe this is USB 3.0. So that's something you get out of the box. And then this is just a card. Obviously in here, I believe you will also get the cord that comes with it. So this, you can see here, is a USB-C standard on both ends. And of course, it pops in here and you're ready to go charging your phone. So let me put this stuff aside and talk a little bit about the phone itself. So this phone, from a specs perspective, actually the glass on this phone, let's talk about that to start, is the Gorilla Glass Invictus. This is the latest generation glass from Gorilla. So Samsung offers the latest and greatest on this phone at this time. I believe there is no other version of Gorilla Glass out there at the moment. Of course, in a year's time, it'll probably change, but that's the current generation. And then as far as the screen is concerned, which is a huge factor on this phone, it's just absolutely fabulous. This is a AMOLED display, a Super AMOLED display, and it's a 6.9 inch screen. So from here to here, that's a 6.9 inches screen. It does have a little bit of a edge on it. My wife was actually using a Galaxy phone with an edge. Some people complain about the edge, that it becomes, you can accidentally touch something, but in her experience this has never been a problem. So she can't really relate to that being a problem. So this one does actually have a bit of an edge, and it kind of creates an infinity type interface. You almost get the edge-to-edge display with no real bevel, perhaps a little bit on the top and the bottom, but that's kind of cool to get that kind of an interface. And anyway, it's just a very, very pretty display. 128 gig storage is the storage option that we went with. Obviously, this phone does support or comes with a 512 gig version. You will have to pay more to get that. But because this phone has a expandable memory slot, it's easier to upgrade it. So all you need to do is, take this little thing, dig it right here, and out pops the slot where you can put in, I see that the Google Fi chip is already built in because this was shipped directly from Google for the Fi service. And here you can put in your expandable memory into it. And I think it supports all the way to 1 terabyte. So if these days, believe it or not, they do sell micro SD cards of 1 terabyte of storage. Obviously they come at a higher price point, but if you get a good deal on those, memory these days, at least on this phone, can be easily expanded. So this is another reason why we opted to just simply go with the 128 GB version instead of forking out additional for the 512. As far as the weight on this phone is concerned, it's a really nice weight, I would say. 208 grams is what it says is what this phone is. And 208 grams, just to give you just a general understanding of what that feels like, there is a nice weight to it, but not like an extra weight that it feels like a bulky, heavy phone. It feels like you're really secure in my hand. I do have fairly large hands, so this phone for me might not be the best reference, but if you have like a medium or average size hands, even then this phone, I don't believe, is going to feel like a very big phone. Of course, if you throw in a large case, it can make it even bulkier. But for what comes out of the box, I think it's pretty decent. So that's the phone itself in terms of weight and feel in your hand is concerned. The battery on this, because it's a large phone, it carries a big battery in there, which is at 4,500 milliamps per hour. I believe the S21 Ultra, the latest phone, which came out like 6 months after this phone, currently supports in excess of 5,000 milliamps per hour, but 4,500 milliamps is also pretty decent. To give you a real world sense of what that means, you can probably expect to use almost 4 to 6 hours of actual use time and not have to charge the phone. After that, you'll probably have to. But battery is really a very subjective matter because it depends a lot upon how you have set up the phone in terms of its display, how bright and whatnot, and how intensively is the phone getting used. For example, if you're doing a lot of gaming, which is very resource intensive, you might not get enough battery life. But in general, if you're watching a few videos and just using the phone for regular applications, you can easily go the entire day without having to charge the phone. But of course, in the evenings, you'll have to charge it. So that's just to give you a feel for what to expect from a battery standpoint. As far as the OS is concerned, this ships with the Android 11 version, which I don't think is the latest version because Android 12, I believe, is the latest and greatest. But that's only available on the Google Pixel, which is Google's own phone. So on the Samsungs, 11 is the latest, and that's what this phone carries. Samsung says that this phone will support 3 major software upgrades. So you're all set for at least 3 years with this phone if you choose to hang on to it, and you won't necessarily run a previous or a older generation Android. So it gives you some security, especially at this price point. It's important that the phone continues to stay relevant from a software upgrade standpoint for at least 3 years, if not more. So that's as far as the battery life is concerned, or I should say the Android version it supports, and the updates. As far as the refresh rate is concerned, 120 hertz is what it will support, but it supports that only at 180p. So if you are going to use the highest resolution possible on this phone, the phone switches to 90 hertz, which in my mind is still very respectable, but obviously 120 is where you want to be for some of the features. So but for that, you will be running it at 180p, which in my opinion, is still a very, very good display to look at. With S21, I'm sorry, the Galaxy 21 Ultra, I believe it can actually run at 120 hertz without having to go at a lower version of 180p. So that's one disadvantage, I guess, of this phone compared to the S21. But like I said, to me, that's really not a big deal. As far as 5G compatibility is concerned, obviously this is a 5G ready phone. It depends what kind of service you have and what your network provider offers in a certain location, but the phone does support that, which is great. Processor wise, it runs in the US, it runs the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Pro chip, which is a really, really powerful chip for what it can do. I think Qualcomm actually has an even higher version of this chip available in the S21, but this is right up there in terms of processing power. So there's only a marginal difference between those two Qualcomm processors, Snapdragon. Outside of the US, my understanding is that it runs the Exynos 990 chipset. So you guys, if you have a very different experience with that chipset in terms of processing power, please comment below, and I would love to hear about your experience with the same phone in other markets. But as far as the US is concerned, this is what we get. The internal memory on this phone is 12 gigs, which is really awesome because this phone, considering the kind of processing power it has, can actually be extended and used almost like a Chromebook. So it does offer technology, I think it's called wireless DeX, which allows you to connect this to a monitor and use this as a computer. So almost like a Chromebook, if you're familiar with that, which is a really nice feature to have. So instead of carrying a laptop or a Chromebook with you, you have all the computing power that this phone carries with it, and you can extend it to a laptop type experience if you want to. That's as far as the memory is concerned, 12 gigs, so you can do some decent work there. Port down here is a Type-C. I already mentioned that, USB 3.0, and of course there's the S Pen. The S Pen, all you need to do is click it a little bit and it pops out. And this is really an upgraded version of the S Pen. I believe Note 8 was the last time that they did a upgrade of the S Pen. This one truly takes advantage of the 120 hertz screen. So writing on the screen with this pen almost feels like you write on paper. That's what I have researched anyway before I picked up this phone. So I'm really looking forward to the use of this phone. One other thing that I would like to make mention of, the S21 actually does support this this particular S Pen, but not in a way where you can actually just slide it right into the phone. You have to buy a case where you can store it if you opt for that phone. This one with the Note, it's integrated, which is fantastic. Also, what is important to note is that this particular S Pen, instead of or in addition to just writing and using the S Pen for directly interacting with the interface, it has what is called the Air feature. So you can actually use this as a remote control for your phone. So for example, if you're taking a group picture or something, you place the phone somewhere and you have stepped aside, and all you need to do is click this button and it'll automatically take a picture. So it's almost acts as a remote control. So there are some things that you can do on the phone and use this as a remote control. Only the Note series phones actually support that type of functionality. With the other 21 series phones, it does support the direct written interface, but the Air functionality is not available, is my understanding. And then as far as the cameras are concerned, you can see there's a noticeable notch up here for for this, if you place your phone down here, there is a bit of a play, as you can probably tell. But if you throw in a case, which I intend to, obviously you can sort that out real easy. As far as the cameras are concerned, there are 3 lenses on it. It actually has a wide lens, an ultra wide lens, and a tele lens as far as the rear cameras are concerned. The wide lens is actually at 108 megapixel. The ultra wide lens is at 12 megapixel, along with the tele lens, which is also at a 12 megapixel range. As far as the front camera is concerned, which is baked right in at the top, it's just a little notch at the top. That actually runs at 10 megapixels. So really great pictures, even if you want to take selfies with it, really does a great job. It does have this red dot. I don't know if you can pick it up on your screen right over here. This actually is a infrared or some kind of a laser based technology that allows the camera to stabilize the picture, which is the autofocus capability of this phone, which is really great for someone like my wife. So it's really hard to take bad pictures with this phone. If you just need to do, point and click, and it just takes gorgeous pictures. So this is something really handy if you don't want to, put in too much effort into taking pictures and just want, just a phone with absolutely great picture taking capabilities. It does shoot in 4K. I believe it can even shoot at 8K, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure on that, but it certainly does support 4K video. And obviously with the expandable memory slot, that's fantastic, because when you take a lot of 4K video or take a lot of high resolution pictures, you can use up the 128 gigs real easy. And the expandable memory slot is really, really nice to have. And matter of fact, this is a major reason why my wife is attracted to this phone. It's a real shame that Samsung is no longer really supporting the expandable memory slot anymore with their phones. And so if you're in the market for a phone and you're kind of undecided on whether to pick the Galaxy 21 or the Ultra 20, Note 20 Ultra, this would be another reason to pick up this phone, because it does support the expandable memory slot. So that's what I would say about the specs on this phone. If I have to kind of wind down this video by telling you my top reasons why you should pick up this phone, or what were my reasons for picking up this phone for my wife, as we did the research. Main few reasons, I have a list of 6. So the first one is the screen display. It's an absolutely fantastic screen to look at. I don't think you're going to get a lot of phones with this kind of a display, especially the flagship phones. We absolutely love that. And then the S Pen support, a natively built S Pen is only available in this phone, which is a fantastic functionality and feature to have on a phone. The third reason is the software updates. So even though this phone is pricey, keep in mind, I bought it basically for half the price, so around $600. But even at that price point, right, even if you buy it at that $800,000 price point, I still think it's a great phone to look into, because Samsung does assure you of 3 years of major software updates. So you will have Android 11 and then go to Android 12, 13, and possibly 14. I think it ends at 14, the support. And after that, this will get stuck and you wouldn't be further upgrading into the Android ecosystem. But that's great. Phones supporting 3 years is awesome. And then the power on it, right? The Snapdragon processor on it, I think keeps the phone fresh and relevant with the more power hungry apps that are continue to be around. So the processing power that it packs in, keeps it relevant if you are holding onto the phone for 3 or more years. And then of course the deals, right? Because this is a late 2020 phone and there are other options available, I think the price drops on this particular phone, like we took advantage of, is a serious reason to look into this phone. Because If you get the 21 or other phones which are flagship phones, I'm only benchmarking against flagship phones. With those, you're looking at easily in excess of $1,000. So if you can cut that and get a really beefy machine for half that price point, that's just a no-brainer in my mind. And then the last reason is the expandable storage. The fact that this phone has expandable storage is a huge deal, given our experience with phones. It's a real shame, like I said, that phone manufacturers are no longer offering this, and they are wanting you to pay extra upfront to get that 512 and further. But the fact that I can throw in for, if I want, $150, $200, a 1 terabyte micro SD chip in it, that's just awesome. So those were my top reasons why I would encourage you to look into this phone. And if you're in the US, I think it even makes more sense. But even if you're outside, you will have to do your own research. And like I said, because it runs a different processor and everything, I wouldn't rely entirely on what I shared. Do your own research as well. So thank you for watching the video. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.